Hello, everyone, and welcome into the hospitality room presented by Mascot Media. The clock started early. Oh, well, it is what it is. It's March, it's madness. Everybody wants to watch basketball. How are you, Mr. Swofford?
Good. I am depleted from the basketball finals, but energized because spring break is on the horizon.
Yeah, and a great championship run in
Yeah.
Hot Springs once again.
Yeah, it was really good. I mean, we got lucky. It was just one of those years. 11 of the 12 games were a two possession game or tighter in the fourth quarter. Like you don't get that. You're usually going to get a clunker or two, but we had some really good games, some really good crowds. I think that people got to see it firsthand how good basketball is in Arkansas.
Yes, and it's only getting better, which is
Yes.
really nice. So, a lot of basketball to talk about, obviously. So, let's get right to it. The graphic freezes.
The
Oh, you
madness.
gotta love the madness. Well, it's March Madness, so here we go. Let's see if we relive the page. Hey, it's tournament time. The road to San Antonio. There you go. So
It's here.
it's here. There's some thoughts on who should have got in, who didn't get in, whatever. We're
Hmm.
here. So let's go through the bracket. Did you have any upsets in the South where Auburn is the top seed?
Let's go ahead and pull up the old bracket and see what we got. So, I mean, looking at it, Creighton has already handled Louisville today, which, the 9-8 matchup. I don't know that that would be that big of an upset, even though Louisville was
No.
essentially playing at home only a little over an hour from campus. I think the San
Yeah.
Diego Michigan game, the 5-12, could be really interesting. And just because the way they played on Tuesday, North Carolina beating Ole Miss would not be completely shocking. I know a lot of people's like, oh, well, North Carolina doesn't belong in. That they're 1-13 against the quad. They dominated in the play-in game in the first four.
Yes.
Excuse me. So I would say the 11 and the 12 seed in the South region have a chance to get out.
I think with the portal now, because the rosters change, I think the coaching becomes even more important now.
Mm-hmm.
That's almost what I look at when I make my picks. So, I mean, that's why I'm kind of like riding. I'm riding Izzo to win that region. I think he
Yeah, once.
outcoaches Bruce Pearl. But, yeah, I mean, that'll be intriguing. Ole Miss, North Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
Chris Beard against Hubert Davis. That
Yeah.
almost seems like a coaching mismatch.
It does a little bit, and obviously Ole Miss is a significantly better team. They're more battle tested, but momentum's crazy. I mean, we've seen it in March
Yes.
time and time again, and everybody was saying about how North Carolina didn't deserve to be in the tournament, and they just went out and waxed them on Tuesday. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so they're playing with a chip on their shoulder, and after all, they are still North Carolina. R.J. Davis is like 47 years old, but he is still a stud. He's been doing
Yes.
it in the Tar Heel Blue for a long time. So it's yeah. I mean, people talking about North Carolina as 11 and Arkansas is a 10. It's still Arkansas. It's still a Calipari roster. This is still a North Carolina roster. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not going to be shocking if they pull an upset, and I'll use the air quotes for that.
Yeah, and those are the type of teams that are the most dangerous in March too,
Hmm.
because they finally get it going. So, who do you have coming out of the? You have any big upsets moving forward? Who do you have coming out?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I like Michigan State coming out of that region, mainly because I can't trust Bruce Pearl. I can't trust Auburn. They've burned you too many times in the postseason. I mean, so there's 3 minutes left in the first half, and they're only up by 5 against Alabama State. And that's that tells you when we're taping this thing. So like they're not
Oh,
dominating a team that literally played on Tuesday. So I mean, to me, it's a trust factor with them. I get how good the SEC is supposed to be this year, but I trust Izzo in March. I mean, the guy's been successful for a long time.
and speaking of the SEC, I almost wonder if it's been too good because now they're just beat down,
Yeah.
and you get into March, and I don't know.
Because
Well,
Texas
we'll
ran out of
see.
gas last night. I mean, Texas looked bad in that
Yes.
second half against Xavier.
Well, but I don't know that Texas was any good to begin with. I
I
mean,
agree with that.
I'm
Yeah.
and of course, all indications are Rodney Terry's going to be out,
Hmm.
and so that'll unfold over the next few. If you're Texas, you'll go get Will Wade.
Yeah. It'd be hard. It'd be hard not to be honest.
That'd be scary. That'd be real
Yeah.
scary. All right, let's move on to the West, which is the bracket below Florida. I mean, there's a
Mhm.
program. The coach was in hot water, and now they're a one seed and they're rolling over everybody. So it's kind of been a wild year in Gainesville.
Yeah.
Anything jump out to you in this bracket? Of course, the defending two-time champion is an eight
Mhm.
seed,
Yeah.
which
I mean, that to me is the one thing that jumps out because Florida, who just wins the SEC tournament, playing with all this momentum, and all of a sudden you're going to reward them by giving them the two-time national champion in the second round. That's doing Florida no favors, and yeah, this UConn team is nowhere near as good as they were the last couple of years. That's a given. I'm not even sure they beat Oklahoma, to be quite honest.
mm,
But you look at the rest of the region. I mean, Maryland can score a ton of points.
hmm
Missouri's, you never know what you're going to get with them. But Texas Tech's got the best scoring team in school history for like the last 30 years, and they can still defend like nobody else's business. And of course, the bottom of it, which has been talked at nauseum in our state. I mean, you've got
yes,
Arkansas and Kansas, both teams that are very, very disappointing in the regular season, but yet they're in the tournament with big time coaches, with Rick Pitino waiting on you as the winner there. To me, Florida is head and shoulders the best team in that region. I mean,
hmm
I could probably even argue that Florida's the best team in the country right now. But do they get all the way through? I think Florida does win the regional. But if I'd had to pick an outlier, I might go Texas Tech as the
okay.
three seed. I think this is just a better Tech team than we've seen, a more complete team than we've seen in the last few years.
I've got St. John's coming out.
Yeah, it's not a bad pick either.
Patino is he's got this team dialed in. The man can coach. Granted, he's got all the baggage, but
Yeah,
someone put up a graphic last week of what he's done in year two at every school. 23 wins or more every place he's been in year two, and they
yeah. To
can't
me, it's the
shoot, and they've
schedule.
won 26 games.
Yeah, but to me, it's the schedule.
Yeah,
They've won a ton of games this year. They hadn't played anybody. Yeah, I mean they beat
no,
Marquette, they beat UConn. These are teams that are eight seeds. Not highly ranked. They lost to Creighton, lost to Georgia, lost to Baylor. I mean their resume isn't as impressive as most teams who are 30-4 at this point in the season. Soft
yeah,
conference.
okay. Well, I go with coaching in this.
Yeah,
Arkansas, Kansas. Who are you picking in that one?
I mean the depth of Boogie coming back helps. But
Mm-hmm.
Arkansas cannot defend inside, and Kansas has got one of the best big men in the country in Hunter Dickinson. I'm going to say it's close for a while, but I think Kansas is smart enough to say, "Hey, we're going to go pick and roll with Dickinson," and I think Kansas wins it in the end.
I'm with you. Thero out for Arkansas
Yes.
is huge.
Yep.
Granted, you got Boogie back, but he hadn't played. They played better
Hmm.
without him. Yeah,
Yep.
without Thero, I don't think Arkansas has much of a chance. Now they
I agree.
might,
Yeah.
but I would like them a lot better. So,
Thero to me is the difference between Arkansas having their season in tonight and playing next weekend.
oh, no question, no question. And even if he's back, you don't know if he's 100%. He hadn't played in a while, man. And then the question is he even back next year? So
Yeah.
there's a lot of craziness around this Arkansas program right now. All right, we'll go to the East. Duke, what a shock. The number one seed for the 4,000th year in a row. It's almost like the brackets were etched in stone, and Duke's always number one. Do they get out of that region?
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on how healthy is Cooper Flag. I mean, that's the only question in that region that you've got is how healthy is the ankle? Can you roll through the first weekend, with him not playing much at all? Obviously, they shouldn't need him against Mount St. Mary's. I guess that game is tomorrow. So, but do
Mm-hmm.
you need him in game two, whether that's Mississippi State or I mentioned Baylor who beat St. John's? Like, if you can get through those
Yeah.
two games and kind of limp through it and you get him back, closer to healthy next week, I think they've got a pretty nice run to the Elite Eight. Oregon sitting there as your 5 seed, okay, maybe. And then Alabama is just so intriguing because just their style of play, they could go win a national championship, or they could have a really bad shooting night and get beat tomorrow night. So like
Yeah.
it's you just don't know about Alabama. I trust them more than I do Auburn because they've obviously had some success. They made it with the Final Four was last year before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think they've got a chance. I mean, they're one of the best scoring teams in the country. But if they have to play Vanderbilt in round two, like it's a team that's already seen them. Like, how does
Yeah.
that match up? It's not a great draw for me for Alabama, but I think Duke, obviously they're going chalk here. 1-2 is not really going on a limb. This region really just kind of screaming at me, though.
Yeah. I've got Bama coming out over Duke, and I think the Bama BYU game
Yeah.
may be one of the most exciting games, has the potential to be one of the highest scoring, most exciting games because there's not going to be a lot of defense played. There'll be a lot of shooting.
How about Wisconsin scoring 85 today?
Did they really? Wow,
Yeah.
I
I
had
beat,
them getting. So they won.
yeah, beat
Oh,
Montana. Yeah, Montana by
oh,
19.
oh! I had the Grizz winning, so my bracket's already
Already
in a
busted.
mess. Already busted. What a shock. Okay, now to the Midwest. Houston, the 1 seed, and probably the least. Granted, they what they did in the Big 12 was amazing because that league is nuts.
Hmm.
But still, probably the least talked about 1 seed in quite some time.
Yeah. Well, it's because defense is not sexy, and nobody wants
That's
to talk
true.
about it. But like they can grind. It's kind of like Texas Tech. Nobody talks about them because nobody thinks playing defense is fun. But
Mm-hmm.
Houston, they're destroying Edwardsville right now. McNeese is up big on Clemson. I think it's 16-8. That 12 seed. But of course Houston Gonzaga. That's what everybody's hoping for. You've got the high powered offense that always is the Zags, and then the defense for Houston. Purdue's already won by double digits today. Then you look at the bottom. I mean, it's hard not to say you're looking at Tennessee, Kentucky. On a collision course there. I mean, you got Illinois, you got Xavier who beats Texas in the playing game. To me, the bottom half of that bracket is pretty intriguing and wide open. Would it shock you that UCLA would upset Tennessee? No, it wouldn't.
No.
But it really does scream Houston to me. Maybe is the easiest path just because of the way they play. Even if they get matched up with Tennessee, they can guard well enough that's going to slow Tennessee down. Not many teams can do that.
Okay. I've got Utah State beating UCLA. I've got Xavier beating Kentucky. McNeese Houston, very intriguing, but I don't think
Mm-hmm.
McNeese has the horses. I've got Houston beating Tennessee to come out of there. So,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that region feels chalky in the end. I think we could see
yeah.
some chaos in round one, but maybe not so much after that point.
Which is kind of the way the tournament's gone the last few years.
Yeah.
A lot of craziness the first couple days, and then Chalk City after that.
Hmm.
So, in the final four, who do you have playing for the championship? Who is your winner?
Uh,
So, I think you've got
I actually
Florida,
have not filled
Michigan
out a
State,
bracket.
right?
I haven't filled out a bracket at all this year, which I'm
I
kind of
filled it out
slacking.
10 minutes ago.
Yeah. Uh,
It's sad.
yeah. I'm going to go. Let's go Florida, Houston,
Ooh, that'd be
Duke,
good.
and Michigan State. So I got 3 1s and a 2. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go Florida and Duke in the championship game, and I think the Dukies get it done with Cooper Flag.
Okay. I've got St. John's and Houston in the championship, with Houston cutting down the nets.
Kelvin
Um,
Sampson and Rick Pitino won a championship in 2025. What is this, 1995, Blair?
oh, I know. And take the under. Take the
Yeah,
under.
no doubt.
'Cause it will be unbelievable. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. So, there we go. There's our brackets. So, it will be. I don't know. There's a lot of buzz. And you get caught up in it, but I don't know. Maybe it's because we've been busy with the high school scene in Arkansas and
Hmm.
whatnot. But it's just, I don't know. It's just NIL and the portal. It's just not quite the same, is it? Especially that now the SEC has what? 75 teams in the 100
Yeah.
team
No,
bracket.
yeah, it doesn't. I mean, and maybe some of it is Greg Gumbel wasn't there to call the names on Sunday. So like the
True.
selection show was a little different. This didn't seem to have that pizzazz or that excitement level around it. Um, I've had him on the games here at the office. Kind of paying attention to the scores. Just the field is so much more level now than it used to be, and the
Hmm.
playing games are what they are. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and harp on it because they're not going away. Um,
Yeah.
but why? Give me 5 games that start at 11. Like, give me all the games at once. Let me watch them all at once. Quit the stagger and stuff. But I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe it is because I've been just so enthralled in basketball, and I'm calling even more this weekend that I haven't really fully immersed myself in the big dance in the NCAA tournament. But also, I think there's it's really top heavy this year. You take away
Mm-hmm.
the field and you give me the 1s and the 2 seeds, I'm probably taking them to make up the entire Final Four and the championship.
Yeah. Well, I think the portals had something to do with that too, because the rosters change. You
Yeah,
don't necessarily know, other than, I mean, what? Name 5 guys, not named Cooper Flag, that are top players in the country.
yeah,
It'd be
no,
hard
that's a good
pressed
point.
to.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, we're going
uh,
to start to see some. I know the Drake players are getting a ton of love from the national level. There's going to be some guys who make some money for themselves this week. But I mean, I
yeah.
think gone are the days where like the Ali Farouk, his name's going to be a household
Hmm.
name across the country. I just don't
Yeah.
think that's going to happen.
No. Well, that kid's then going to portal and go to a
Yeah.
big school, and so the Cinderella kind of gets left
But
in the
also, like
dust.
you go back to last year. I mean, what's immediately going to contradict what we're talking about? That the kid from Oakland who essentially ended the Calipari run to
Yeah.
Kentucky. He's like 35 years old and hits 15 threes. Nobody
Well,
in the world. I have no idea in the world where he is because I
I
guess
saw a
he
deal.
graduated.
He's playing overseas.
Yeah. So
I
like
forget where.
the possibility is still there for you to have your one shining moment, if you will,
Yes.
if you're playing
Yes.
at the small school.
And now you can capitalize. Get a little
Yeah.
scratch for it. So crazy. All right, we move from basketball. Football. Am I mistaken thinking last year at this time Aaron Rodgers made some announcement that kind of dwarfed the NCAA tournament starting?
Mm-hmm.
He's been
Yeah.
quiet. I think we're all just kind of waiting for the A Rod bomb to drop, and it
Yeah.
hasn't.
Yeah, I was listening to Adam Schefter's podcast on the way to work this morning, and he mentioned it that the fact that it hasn't been decided yet means what Aaron Rodgers wants, the teams don't want. AKA,
Hmm.
Aaron Rodgers wants to go be a part of the Minnesota Vikings because they're the team that can go out and win right now. They have really good players, and Minnesota doesn't want him.
Oh, well, they got
The
Reddick,
Giants and the
or not
yeah, the
Reddick,
Giants
but
and the
JJ.
Steelers want him. The
But he doesn't want
Giants
them.
Steelers want him, and then he doesn't want to go there because obviously who wants to go play for the Giants? Nobody. And then you've
Yeah.
got the Steelers, who are an aging team. Sure, they just traded for DK Metcalf. You got he and George Pickens and Freiermuth at tight end, but nobody wants to play in Pittsburgh as a quarterback. That's not sexy.
Yeah, it's interesting that they still have not signed a quarterback. Obviously, they don't want Russell Wilson because he's talking to the
Yeah.
Browns. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's just wild that there are teams that rush to get a quarterback, and then there are teams who just, I don't know, throwing
Yeah.
darts at the wall, I guess.
Well, because you got Cleveland, who's got a top pick, obviously, so they may draft one. And then I think a lot of teams are waiting to see what Atlanta is willing to do with Kirk Cousins
Yeah,
because he's a
that's
better
true.
option than Aaron Rodgers is.
Yes, that is true. All right, the clock's timing down. Final word.
March Madness.